Story 1 by Creed. The wind howled through the desolate streets as I approached the old abandoned asylum. It loomed before me like a forgotten sentinel of darkness, its decaying walls holding secrets that the world had long since forgotten. Despite the rumors of hauntings and unexplained phenomena, my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to venture inside. As I stepped through the creaking doors, a chill crawled up my spine. The air was thick with a musty odor, and the only sound was the echo of my footsteps on the rotting floor. Broken glass and discarded medical equipment littered the hallways, a haunting reminder of the asylum's grim past. I pressed on, guided by an inexplicable force that seemed to pull me deeper into the heart of the asylum. The darkness was suffocating, and each step felt like an eternity. Suddenly a faint whisper echoed through the corridors. My heart raced as I strained to make out the words, but they were indistinguishable, like the mournful cries of tortured souls. The dim light from my flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper.
I had to find a way out, but the asylum seemed to be a labyrinth with no end. Panic began to set in as I realized that I was lost in this sinister place.
Then, as if by some malevolent design, the whispers grew louder, accompanied by an unsettling symphony of disembodied voices. The walls seemed to close in on me, and I stumbled backward, desperately searching for an exit. But it was as if the asylum itself had trapped me within its dark embrace. In the distance, I heard an echoing laughter that sent shivers down my spine. It was the laughter of madness, the kind that one could only find in the darkest recesses of the human mind. The asylum had a hold on me, and I was no longer in control of my own destiny. As I rounded a corner, I came face to face with a ghastly apparition. Its eyes were hollow voids, and its skeletal frame was draped in tattered rags. It reached out to me with a skeletal hand, and I could feel its icy grip on my soul. Terrified, I stumbled backward, desperate to escape the clutches of this malevolent spirit. But the asylum had other plans for me. The walls themselves seemed to come alive, shifting and morphing to block my path. Trapped and with no other option, I made my way to the asylum's center, where a dilapidated chapel stood in solemn silence. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy, and a sense of impending doom hung heavy in the atmosphere. Within the chapel, I discovered an ancient diary lying forgotten on a dusty altar. Its pages were filled with the lamentations of tortured souls and the rituals that had taken place within these very walls. The words on those pages seemed to seep into my mind, filling me with an overwhelming sense of despair. I knew that the only way to break free from the asylum's grasp was to destroy the source of its malevolence. With trembling hands, I gathered the pages of the diary and set them ablaze. The flames danced with an unholy fury, consuming the evil that had festered within the asylum for so long. As the last page turned to ash, the asylum shook violently, as if protesting its demise. But the spirits that had been bound within those walls were finally free, and a deafening silence fell upon the asylum. With a final burst of strength, I sprinted toward the exit, feeling the asylum's grip loosen with every step. The building seemed to groan in defeat as I burst through the front doors and into the cool night air. As I stood there, gasping for breath and covered in sweat, I knew that I had faced something beyond comprehension. The horror of the abandoned asylum would forever haunt my dreams, a reminder of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface of the world we know. And I could only hope that the evil I had unleashed within those walls would never find its way back into our reality. Story 2 by Jameson. The small town of Hollow Creek had always been shrouded in a thick blanket of fog, giving it an eerie and mysterious atmosphere. But there was one place that sent shivers down the spines of its residents, the old mansion at the edge of town. It had been abandoned for decades, and a chilling legend surrounded its dark history. As a thrill-seeker with a fascination for the paranormal, I couldn't resist the allure of the mansion. Determined to uncover its secrets, I gathered a group of brave friends to explore the decaying structure one moonlit night. As we approached the mansion, the air grew colder, and the once gentle breeze turned into a bone-chilling wind. The mansion loomed before us like a monstrous specter, its crumbling facade and broken windows hinting at the horrors that lay within. With flashlights in hand, we cautiously entered the mansion. The floorboards creaked under our weight, as if the house itself was trying to warn us to turn back. But curiosity overpowered fear, and we pressed on, deeper into the heart of darkness. As we explored, strange noises echoed through the empty rooms, whispers, laughter, and agonizing moans that seemed to come from the very walls themselves. Goosebumps crawled up our arms, and a feeling of being watched lingered in the air. The further we ventured, the more unsettling the atmosphere became. Shadows danced along the walls, and the flickering light of our flashlights played tricks on our minds. I caught glimpses of figures darting in and out of view, but every time I turned my head, they vanished into the darkness. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence, and we all froze in terror. It was a scream that seemed to come from beyond the grave, a scream that chilled us to our very souls. Panic consumed us as we scrambled to find the source of the sound. In the heart of the mansion, we discovered a hidden room, its walls adorned with sinister symbols and macabre paintings. In the center of the room, an ancient Ouija board rested on a dusty table. Trembling, we realized that the board was moving on its own, spelling out a message from an unseen force. Beware. You are not alone. Get out while you still can. But it was too late. The mansion had us in its clutches, and the supernatural forces within were determined to keep us trapped. The doors slammed shut behind us, and the windows shattered, allowing the fog outside to seep in, thickening into an impenetrable wall of gray. Each member of our group began to experience their worst fears coming to life. I saw the ghostly figure of a woman in white, her hollow eyes staring into my soul. My friends screamed as apparitions of their long-lost loved ones materialized before them, only to vanish into thin air. The malevolent spirits tormented us, exploiting our deepest vulnerabilities and feeding off our fear. We tried to escape, but the mansion seemed to warp and shift its layout, disorienting us at every turn. In a desperate bid to break free, we returned to the hidden room, hoping that confronting the source of the haunting would release us from its grasp. But as we stood in the room, the Ouija board burst into flames, engulfing the symbols and paintings in a hellish inferno. The mansion trembled violently, and the spirits howled in fury. The walls closed in, threatening to crush us within their suffocating embrace. We huddled together, terrified and defeated, awaiting our inevitable demise. But then, as if by some miraculous intervention, the fog outside began to dissipate, and the walls of the mansion crumbled, setting us free. With adrenaline-fueled speed, we rushed out of the decaying structure, never looking back. As we caught our breath outside, we saw the mansion collapse in on itself, vanishing from existence, as if it had never been there. The spirits that had tormented us were finally at peace. Though we escaped with our lives, the haunting at Hollow Creek would forever be etched in our memories. The malevolent energy that lurked within that mansion was a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some places are best left abandoned to the ghosts that call them home. Story 3 by Emily. In the quaint little town of Ravenwood, there was an old house that stood abandoned on the outskirts. Locals spoke of it in hushed tones, and no one dared venture near it after dark. Legend had it that the house was cursed, and those who dared to enter would befall a dreadful fate. One day, a young woman named Emily moved to Ravenwood to escape the bustle of city life. She was drawn to the mysterious house and couldn't resist the allure of the supernatural stories surrounding it. Curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to explore the house, believing the tales to be nothing more than local folklore. As Emily stepped inside, a shiver ran down her spine. The air felt heavy and an unsettling silence enveloped the house. The interior was in a state of disarray, and the walls were adorned with faded portraits and dusty mirrors. In one particular room, a large, ornate mirror caught Emily's attention. It seemed to hold an otherworldly aura, beckoning her to gaze into its depths. As she peered into the mirror, she saw her reflection staring back at her, but there was something amiss. The reflection's eyes were dark and soulless, filled with malevolence. Terrified, Emily stepped back, but her reflection remained motionless, a wicked smile spreading across its face. She tried to look away, but an invisible force held her gaze captive. Her reflection started to move independently, reaching out as if trying to break free from the mirror's confines. In a panic, Emily turned to flee, but the door slammed shut, trapping her inside the room. She was now alone with the sinister reflection that seemed to come alive. The room grew colder, and the mirror's surface rippled like water. Suddenly, the reflection stepped out of the mirror, its elongated limbs stretching unnaturally. Emily's heart pounded in her chest as she realized she was face to face with a malevolent doppelganger. The sinister reflection spoke in a hauntingly familiar voice, mocking and taunting Emily with her deepest fears and insecurities. It seemed to know everything about her, even the darkest secrets she had buried deep within her soul. As minutes turned into agonizing hours, Emily's sanity began to unravel. She tried to reason with the reflection, to plead for her freedom, but it only laughed in response. The room seemed to twist and distort around her, and the walls bled with ominous symbols. In a desperate attempt to escape, Emily smashed the mirror with a nearby chair. But as the glass shattered, her reflection remained unscathed, and the malevolent presence only grew stronger. With each passing moment, the reflection became more corporeal, while Emily herself started to fade. She could feel her essence being drained away, consumed by the dark entity that had emerged from the mirror. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, a memory flashed in Emily's mind, a story her grandmother had once told her about an ancient ritual to banish malevolent spirits. With a last surge of strength, Emily recited the incantation, and a blinding light engulfed the room. When the light subsided, Emily found herself back in front of the intact mirror, but the malevolent reflection was gone. The curse had been broken. Exhausted and trembling, Emily fled the house, vowing never to return. The experience had forever changed her, leaving her haunted by the darkness she had encountered. Years passed, and Emily tried to move on with her life, but the memory of that night never truly left her. Whenever she looked into a mirror, she couldn't help but wonder if the malevolent reflection still lurked, waiting to break free once more. And so, the shadow in the mirror remained a chilling mystery, a reminder that some things are better left undisturbed, and that the line between reality and the supernatural is far thinner than we could ever imagine.